and sniper guns. For more, we can now talk to Marcus Papadopoulos, who's editor of a UK political magazine, Politics First. Marcus, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this here in RT. Well, we see foreign citizens joining the ranks of Ukraine's ultranationalists, and these people themselves admit they're ready to kill. What do you make of this?
Well, let's be clear about something. Conflicts, wherever they are in the world, will always attract foreign fighters, and Ukraine is no exception to that. And there is ample evidence to suggest that there are foreign fighters in Ukraine fighting on the side of Kiev forces. And there's ample evidence to suggest also that those fighters are American citizens who are members of various American private security forces. And no one should be surprised to hear that there are private American security forces operating in Ukraine, because the American government has a long history of using American private security forces to achieve its objectives in various countries around the world, be it Libya, be it Syria, be it Iraq. And of course, we are seeing Ukraine at the moment because Ukraine is on America's radar. America for the last 20 years has been trying to bring Ukraine into the West's orbit, and by using private security firms, it's a way of the American government concealing its hand in the internal affairs of an independent sovereign country.
Well, Marcus, what else do we know about these people who are joining the ranks to fight in Ukraine? Specifically, what also I'd like to know here, what's driving them to join those units?
Conflicts will always attract numerous people for numerous motivations. It can be financial reasons, that would apply to mercenaries, that would apply to members of private security firms. It can be for ideological reasons. For example, in Britain, we know that Islamists are flocking to Syria to fight on the side of the Islamist uprising against the Syrian government. And also when it comes to Ukraine, there are a lot of very extreme right-wing forces who have now been sent by Kiev to fight against anti-Kiev forces in the east of the country, in the Donbass. So of course, it can't be ruled out that neo-Nazi, fascist foreign citizens have been drawn to Ukraine to fight on the side of Kiev forces.
Well, this particular battalion consists of ultranationalists and foreigners, as we have just established, and it is financed from Ukrainian businesses. But the question here is, how much control do those who finance those groups really have over the battalion's actions, over the actions of these, hired people?
Well, the question should be, why in an independent sovereign country, in a country which is supposed to be civilized, why are there private security forces at work? It should not be tolerated. The only people in a country who should have the right to be armed are the armed forces and the police. The whole idea of private security forces is intolerable, and it's extremely dangerous because they're part under the control of the government for political reasons, but they're part under the control, as you just said, of businesses, and in the case of Ukraine, they're under the control of various Ukrainian oligarchs. And I think that's very dangerous. It's actually against the rule of law, and it's about time the European Union and the United States government actually come out and condemn and outlaw the existence of private security firms.
Well, President Barack Obama has called Ukraine's newly elected president a wise selection. But how does that actually add up with a growing number of civilian deaths, and why is that being ignored?
Well, since when has an American president been genuinely committed to human rights? Any argument put forward to suggest that the Americans are committed to human rights in a genuine way is absolute nonsense. For President Obama, the key to it is this: whoever comes to power in Kiev, if they are anti-Russian and pro-Western, despite how repugnant some of their people might be, despite how murderous some of their people would be, the most important thing for Barack Obama and the American government as a whole is that these people will serve the interests of Washington. They will serve the interests of Washington's geostrategic objectives. The fact that hundreds of civilians, including many children, have been killed in eastern Ukraine, for example, in Lugansk and Slavyansk, means nothing to the American government. Let's not forget, 1 million Vietnamese civilians were killed by the Americans during the Vietnam War. How many American politicians and officers have been prosecuted for that terrible, terrible amount of loss of life in Vietnam?
All right, Marcus Papadopoulos, thank you so much for your insight.